Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to share my recipe for a cassava tortilla. Now these tortillas are made out of cassava flour and they are technically gluten-free because obviously there's no gluten within the cassava flour. Now you can use this with any other type of gluten-free flours as well, just follow the same preparation and you can get some really nice tortillas as well. Now for any of you guys wondering, this also doubles as a cassava roti recipe. I've seen many different versions of how people in Guyana will make their cassava roti, and while my family makes our cassava roti different, this is the preparation of how some Guyanese people will make cassava roti as well. So this doubles as a tortilla as well as a roti. So let's get into it. The ingredient list for this recipe is very simple. So for the ingredients, I need some cassava flour. It's also known as manioc root or manioc flour, and you can find this at specialty grocery stores, and you can also find it on buyeasy.com if you want to use the Bidesi brand. Now I also have a little bit of Crisco or vegetable shortening on the right hand side. Now if you don't like to use shortening, you could replace it with butter, and you can even use some ghee. And if you guys wanted to also go the vegan route, you could also use some coconut oil. Now besides the fat that I'm using in the recipe, I am also going to use a little bit of baking powder and a little pinch of salt just to give the overall tortilla or cassava roti a little bit of flavor. To mix the dough for this recipe, it's very simple. In my bowl, I have the cassava flour and I'm adding in the baking powder as well as the salt. Now I'm also going to go in with my shortening. Again, if you want to use butter or ghee or coconut oil or any other type of fat, feel free to use that. And basically I'm going to go in with some cleanly washed hands and I'm going to mix this in until all of the fat or the shortening is incorporated throughout the flour. Now once you've rubbed in that shortening and you get little crumbles of it all throughout that flour, you're going to go in with some very warm water and continue mixing until you get a very sticky dough. Now here's the thing about using cassava flour or any other type of gluten-free flour. You have to be careful with the way that you're working it because it doesn't have any glutens in it, so it's not going to work like an all-purpose flour or whole wheat flour or anything like that. So once you see that you've added enough water and it comes together into a dough and it's slightly sticky, that's your indication to stop adding any water. I will try to leave a measurement down below so you can gauge how much water that you'll use in this recipe, but really you will have to gauge it depending on the brand of flour that you have or your humidity and heat in the area. After a couple of minutes of mixing, you're going to see that your dough comes together. It is slightly sticky and also a little bit crumbly. That's only because it is a gluten-free flour that we're using. But basically what we're going to go ahead and do is start to roll these into balls, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. So before I start to roll them into balls, I'm just oiling my plate that I'm going to be laying the balls into. The reason why I do this is so this way they don't stick. Remember, any type of gluten-free flour or anything of that sort, you want to go ahead and take all of those precautions so nothing sticks, because if it sticks, it'll just become a very big mess on your hands. So I'm taking a little bit of dough, I'm taking the portion that I want. This is about a 3 tablespoon portion or ball, and that's how big that I want to make them. They're going to be pretty small, maybe about 4 to 5 inches in diameter. If you want them bigger, go ahead and make the balls bigger, and if you want them even smaller, you can make the balls smaller. So I'm going to continue taking little pieces of my dough, rolling them in between my palms until they're nice and smooth, and then I'll show you what to do next. So I have all of my balls here that I put on my oiled plate, and while I work on one of them, on rolling out one of them, I'm going to go ahead and cover the rest with a very damp paper towel. As you guys can see, they have a little bit of a crack in some of them. That is okay, that's just because we're using a gluten-free flour today, and you want to cover it because if it gets too dry, they will crumble and you cannot work with them. And this is the tool that I'm going to be using today to flatten my tortillas or my cassava rotis. Now I'm using this tortilla press from Victoria Cast Iron Products. You know I love to use their products. They've been sending me some great things to use and experiment with in my kitchen. So I will make sure to leave their link and their website information in the description box below this video, so this way you can go ahead and check them out. As you will also see in my description box down below, I always leave a section full of Amazon links with tools that I like to use in the kitchen or tools that are similar to the things that I use in my kitchen. If you click on those links and if you even buy from those links, I get a little bit of a commission from Amazon.com, and it is absolutely no extra cost to you. So if you want to help support my channel in that way, feel free to do so as well. So now at this point, let's get into flattening all of our cassava rotis or tortillas. So I find that the easiest way to roll out these tortillas or these rotis is to go ahead and oil 2 pieces of parchment paper, put the ball in between, and then place it inside the tortilla press and press down. The reason why I like to do this is because when you put this type of dough on the actual tortilla press, no matter how much you oil it, it still tends to fall apart and it gets very, very delicate. Again, it's just because you do not have the glutens in the dough holding it together. So I'm just gonna go ahead and press it down, and the amount that you press down on it totally depends on how thick or thin that you want them. I like them on the thinner side, so I press down all the way. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open it up and show you guys exactly what it looks like. As you guys can see, you guys are gonna get the perfect roundness, the perfect shape, and the perfect thickness. So this is ready to cook at this point. So I've got my tawa heating up on a medium heat. You don't want it much higher than that or else these will burn very fast, and you do not want it too low or else they will cook too slow and they will dry out and get very hard. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put a little bit of oil on it and then we're ready to cook. So after I oiled my tawa, I gently placed the tortilla on it. I basically took the piece of parchment paper and I put it down onto the tawa and then I peeled it off very slowly. If you try to take it off and then place the tortilla or the roti on the tawa with your hands, it will fall apart and you will have a mess. So please do not do that. So basically what I'm doing now, after a few seconds when I see it start to bubble up, I'm going to flip it very carefully because they might fall apart, so do it very carefully. And then I'm going to brush it with a little bit of oil. You can use whatever type of oil or fat that you would like. I'm using vegetable oil today, but if you wanted to use ghee, butter, coconut oil, or even the shortening, you could do any of that. So I'm going to flip it over again, oil the other side, and I'm going to flip it once more and just allow the other side to get a little golden brown. These take only about a minute to a minute and a half to cook. If you cook them any longer than that, what's going to happen is they will dry out and you will not have a nice soft and fluffy tortilla. And after about a minute to a minute and a half, when you see that it has a very few faint golden brown spots, it's ready to come off of the heat. Now, being that I have the cast iron tawa, I do not need to oil it every time I put a new roti on it. I oil it about every 2 to 3 rotis or tortillas just because the oil sort of stays on it after I finish oiling one of them, so you don't need to keep doing that. If you keep on oiling it when you have the cast iron ones, I find that the tortillas or the rotis tend to get very oily. So as you guys saw, I put my parchment paper down with the tortilla on it, I gently peeled it off, and I allowed that one to cook. So again, I just wanted to show you guys how quick and simple the process is. Take one of your balls of dough, place it in between the parchment paper that you've oiled very well. Then you're going to go ahead and press it down. Again, press it down to the thickness that you prefer. If you want it thicker, don't press it down as much. And if you want it very thin, press it down all the way like I'm doing. And you will get the perfect size and shaped tortilla. Again, just be careful as you're peeling off the parchment paper, especially that top one, because sometimes it can tend to break the tortilla. So just be very careful, take all these precautions, and you will have the perfect tortillas. And once you oil your tawa or your flat pan just a little bit, you're gonna go ahead and place the tortilla on, peel off that parchment paper, and you're gonna continue to cook it on each side for maybe 30 seconds each. Every time you flip it, you just wanna oil it so this way it can stay nice and moist and get a little bit crispy on the outside. So all of my tortillas are done and they are ready to eat. I just wanted to show you guys how soft and how pliable these are. As soon as you rip them apart, they stay soft, they don't fall apart or crumble or anything like that. And these will stay soft just as long as you keep them wrapped up very tight in some foil wrap, or if you put them in an airtight container or a Ziploc bag. Now today I am making fish tacos with my tortillas that I made, and I'm topping it with the slaw and all of that good stuff. But by all means, you can go the Guyanese route and you can eat this like a roti. This is a really good roti alternative. It's gluten-free, it's healthier, and just lighter for you to eat versus that heavy oil roti that we would normally make. And if you really like how these fish tacos look and you want to try it out yourself, all you need to do is go ahead and make these tortillas for the tortilla portion. Go ahead and try out my boneless fried fish recipe. I have it linked right up here on the right hand corner. It's basically those fried cod fillets that I made a little while ago on my channel. I think I posted it earlier this week. And for the slaw, it's very simple. All I did was shaved some carrots, some green and red cabbage, and then I topped it with a little bit of mayo, some apple cider vinegar, salt, pepper, and a pinch of sugar. Mix it up together and top my tacos with it. So if you enjoyed this recipe, please go ahead and give it a nice big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you are not subscribed yet. And of course, leave your amazing comments down below, and I'll be seeing you guys again very soon at one of my next videos. I hope you guys go ahead and try this one out.